Hey everybody. For those of you that don't know who I am, my name's Charles Linden. I'm Director of Linden Tree Education, and since 1996 I have been providing programs, resources, education, residential programs and all sorts of special resources for people suffering from anxiety conditions. Because in 1996 I recovered from anxiety, OCD, panic disorder, agoraphobia, emetophobia, health anxiety, eating disorders, pretty much every manifestation of anxiety that you could experience. That all started in about 1972 when I was 4 years old, and I had my first experience of OCD. It was a form of eating disorder really, because I was fixated on choking, on eating things that would poison me, so I sieved all my food through my teeth. I would mash everything up very, very small. I'd often only drink soup. My parents knew nothing about this. It was something that I developed myself. And through school, I developed panic disorder. I discovered that I was school phobic and that I would have panic attacks first thing in the morning and beg mum not to take me to school. That developed into Puro. So I had HOCD. I also had constant panic attacks, sometimes 2, 3, 4 a day. My school phobia was off the scale. I had separation anxiety and monophobia, which is fear of being alone. You name it, I had it. Over those 22 years, from the age of 4 till I was 26, I suffered pretty much every manifestation of anxiety that you can experience. And on top of that, I had every therapy imaginable, including drug therapy and psychotherapy and counselling, seeing psychiatrists. Nothing helped, nothing at all. In 1996, it was a moment of inspiration that happened after I'd been involved in a volunteer centre in Worcestershire, actually, where I suddenly realised that there was a connection between what I was doing and my levels of anxiety. And over the course of a day or two, I came to this incredible realisation and implemented a programme of recovery that completely cured my anxiety in just a couple of days. Since that time, after my wife encouraged me at the time to write it all down and start using it with people to help the people in the day hospital and people I knew through anxiety, through support groups and things like that. Now fast forwarding 25 years to 2021, we've helped in excess of 370,000 people with our online programs. We have a residential retreat program that people come from all over the world to visit. We have a training program to train for CPD, anxiety recovery specialists, and we have specialists dotted about all over the world, soon to have a lot more through a program that we're initiating. And we're a group of about 16 key people based in the Midlands. We supply anxiety recovery webinars, retreats, workshops, corporate programs, apps, online programs and support. We were the first ever provider of online psychological support. We were the first ever provider of apps for mental health. We went to San Francisco in 2000 and I'm just trying to think back. Crikey, it's got to be 14 years ago now with our first app. So the first ever mental health apps on the App Store. We've been the instigators of many things to bring anxiety recovery to the people that need it. And the truth is that the process that we teach is the only way that you can recover from an anxiety condition, regardless of what anybody tells you. And we'll prove that to you. It's very simple to prove it to you. The science is absolutely defined by human evolution and by the biology that's inside in each and every one of us. You can and will recover very quickly, but you won't do so through talking, tapping, relaxing, hypnotizing yourself or any of those things. It's ludicrous to even think that they could work. The only thing that works is the process that is defined by science itself, in the same way as eating is the only cure for hunger and exercise is the only cure for unfitness. You have to do what your brain and body needs in order to remove the disorder that is called anxiety. And the emphasis I put on that word is because anxiety is a disorder. Fear is an emotion. It's necessary, it's natural, it's absolutely imperative to the survival of you and every human on the planet, and every animal, in fact. But the point is that anxiety and fear aren't the same thing. Anxiety is a disorder. Fear is an emotion. And the only way that you can switch that back is through the process that was built into us by human evolution. And that's what we teach. Over the last 18 months, clearly, there's been a huge impact of this COVID experience, what I call the COVID event on the world. And that has given rise to lots of people that wouldn't suffer or wouldn't suffer yet certainly, from being activated. And so a lot of people that may have suffered in 8, 10, 12 years' time have suddenly been activated in the course of just a few months at the beginning of 2020. And now that they're anxiety sufferers, they're stuck in this anxiety loop. They're having intrusive thoughts, they're having racing thoughts, they're having panic attacks, obsessions, compulsions. They've got eating disorders, they're self-harming, they've got emetophobia, trichotillomania, pulling out their hair. They're doing all these things that anxiety sufferers do, but it's all activated incredibly quickly because of the COVID event. And since March 2020, myself and my team have just focused down on getting recovery, true recovery, fast recovery to every single sufferer, because that's what you deserve, but it's also what you need, because we all now need to knuckle down and get back to normality. And we can't do that if we're frightened of going to school, frightened of going to work, frightened of leaving the house, frightened of anything, you know. And the fact is that actually fear and anxiety are completely different. So you haven't got fear, you've got anxiety. So it's false fear. It's a feeling of fear, but it's not true fear because there's nothing to be frightened of. And then you could say, okay, but Charles, there is something to be frightened of. There's COVID. Okay, you know, you have to look at the data, you have to look at the statistics and see what threat that poses to you. There are other things that were present throughout the first part of your life, up to March 2020, that posed a huge amount more risk than COVID ever would. And by COVID, I mean SARS-CoV-2, because COVID is the name they've given to the illness that's caused by SARS-CoV-2 in its final stages, basically pneumonia. So the thing is, there are so many anxiety-provoking things and fear-provoking things out there in the world now, and they're provoking people beyond anything I would have ever seen. I mean, I'm stunned at the level of misinformation, disinformation, and the level of misunderstanding out there about not only about mental health and about COVID and about the vaccines and about everything else, but the level of misinformation that is being fed to us all constantly in order to keep us in this cycle of fear. And it's a control mechanism. It's a way of controlling us. If you're frightened, you're more compliant. It's always been the way. That's why people point guns at you and ask for your money. That's why people hold people captive. You know, fear is the most provocative emotion of all. It's the most influential emotion of all. It's the one that will get people to do what you want them to do when you want them to do it. That is fact. But yeah, you can say, look, I'll give you a sweetie if you do so-and-so, but you know, it's not half as compelling as I'll shoot you if you don't do it. Fear is an incredibly powerful mechanism and control tool. But the point is, people who've got anxiety, they need to recognise that this isn't fear, this is anxiety. They've got the disorder, they're getting the obsessions, the compulsions, the panic attacks, the agoraphobia, emetophobia, health anxiety, eating disorders, self-harming, depersonalisation, derealisation, HOCD, POCD, ROCD. All of these conditions are subconditions within the banner of anxiety, and anxiety is fear disorder. So what do we do about it? We get rid of the disordered part of the fear response. Simple. Okay, and you're all sat there going, yeah, but isn't that simple, is it, Charles? Because I've tried everything. Well, you haven't tried everything because you haven't tried the thing that works. You know, if you stand on a street watching buses go by, you can stand there all day. All the buses look the same, but which is the right bus? They're all buses. They all do the same job. They take people to destinations. But the right bus for you is the one that you get on that takes you to your destination. You know, tapping, EFT, they call it, to make it official, EMDR, cognitive therapy, DBT, counselling, psychotherapy, hypnosis. All of these things are treatments, but they can't and don't work. So they are just treatments. They're not solutions. The solution lies within the physiology and the science of your body and mind. And that's what you have to address to create recovery, which is why when we've done NHS and other trials, for example, and we've been pitched, you know, even on Gokwan's TV programme, against other practitioners, we come out 900 to 1,000% better, 10 times better. So even if we were 10 times worse than we say we are, we're still better than the next best, if that makes sense. And the thing is, people say, oh, yeah, what makes you think that you know what you're talking about? What makes you think that you're better than anybody else? Outcomes. 25 years of tens of thousands of sufferers saying, I did this and in a day I felt better. I did this and in 2 weeks I was back at work. I did this. And without exception, it works. That's why. You won't find that for CBT, DBT, NLP, EFT, EMDR, you know, all of these acronyms that are used to describe therapies. You won't find that level of success. Why? Because they can't work. They're reassuring at best. They're a nice chat. You know, they might be slightly relaxing. Having hot stones or having meditation or doing some yoga might be pleasant, But is it curing the condition? No, of course it isn't, because it isn't acting on the part of the body and brain that creates recovery. The reason I'm telling you this now is because for the last 3 weeks I've had a chest infection. I went abroad to work for 10 days, and then I was going to have a short holiday. And whilst I was out there, I not only trapped 2 nerves in my spine, picking up a case, but the next day I developed a chest infection because I couldn't breathe properly and the air conditioning and stuff. So for 3 weeks I've been fighting a terrible cough that was uncontrollable, so I couldn't speak. So I've taken a leave of absence, if you like. So I've come on here today to pick up where I left off and to tell you guys, you don't need to suffer. Regardless of what you think, regardless of what you've heard, regardless of what you've been told by people that you should think you should be able to trust, you don't need to suffer. You can come to one of our sessions and in 1 hour, you will see the truth, hear the truth, understand the science, become less frightened of what you're experiencing, understand every symptom and thought, and you will move towards recovery. Why? Because it's common sense and because it works. And that's what we want for you. We don't want you to wake up tomorrow and have to cope with another day of suffering when it's absolutely nonsensical to do so. We want you to wake up tomorrow knowing what you've got to do, knowing how to recover and feeling better. And that's what we produce. So you can contact the centre if you want any advice. If you've got symptoms you don't understand, if you're having intrusive thoughts, if you're having thoughts that are really disturbing to you, of a sexual nature or homosexual nature, of an aggressive nature, or that you're going to hurt somebody or do something to a child, if you're having thoughts about being away from home, or if you're having thoughts about harming yourself or harming other people, please just call the centre and speak to one of our specialists. They're psychologists, they're psychotherapists, they're counselling psychotherapists. They're people that are highly trained mental health professionals, but they're also anxiety recovery practitioners. And what's unique about them is the fact that they've also suffered and recovered. So not only have they suffered and recovered themselves and understand the process of suffering and recovering, but they've also helped tens of thousands of other people to recover through the retreats, through the workshops, through the online programs. Everything is about access. Our webinars, Monday and Wednesday, 90 to 120 minutes, interactive. You can come on a Monday, ask me any questions and get direct answers. If you say, oh, Charles, is that pain in my butt something to do with anxiety? I'll talk about it, I'll explain it, and I'll say whether it is or it isn't. But, in 25 years of doing this, I've never heard anything that's concerned me. Anxiety is anxiety. It manifests in a particular way. Whether you've got hormone issues or IBS, or whether you've got pain in your neck, back, whether you've got dry eyes, dry mouth, tinnitus, whether you feel dizzy all the time, whether you've got derealization or depersonalization, whether you feel completely removed and you've got lethargy and you've been diagnosed with myalgic encephalomyelitis or chronic fatigue syndrome or fibromyalgia, or I could go on forever. Come, understand, ask the questions, and you will definitely get answers that make you feel so much better and that direct you towards real recovery. I'm going to put the telephone number and the web address on this post when I've finished. But what I want you to do is deeply consider what I've said and then think, okay, what questions have I got that are going to overcome any objections I've got to trying this? And write them down, phone up tomorrow, talk to Sally, Jackie, talk to Louise, talk to Beth, talk to Sheila or any of the ladies in the centre. Write down those questions, ask them the questions, get the answers and make an informed decision about what you want to do. But I promise you, if you register for the next Anxiety Relief Club and come on next Monday or Wednesday, if you get into the program and watch the videos, by the end of today, you're going to feel a lot better, right? Because that's what it's designed to do over 25 years of practice. We know what we're doing and we love helping people, and our reputation is the way it is because we love helping people and because it works. There's a website called lindenmethodreviews.com. Go and have a look. You've got celebrities, you've got loads of clients, male, female clients, children, talking about their anxiety and their recovery very openly. A lot of them are taken from Facebook and Instagram, so you can see that they're real people. You can even find those real people and ask them yourselves if you want to. But don't wake up another day doubting that you can recover, having told that you can't recover. Charles, I've been told I've got anxiety and borderline personality disorder. Oh, I've been told I've got panic disorder and depression. I've been told I'm autistic spectrum and I've got agoraphobia. I've heard all this stuff a million times, guys. And I can promise you, if you just listen and do, this is going to change your world. I'm going to write the contact details onto this post, but if you've got any questions, you can post here. I'm sure there are people posting that know of us and know about us and have used the method. Hopefully they're giving you some, I haven't got my glasses on, but hopefully they're giving you some inspiration and also giving you some reassurance that this is what cured them. The live I did this morning did exactly that. People came on and said, look, just